When I was shuffling the cards for you, I saw this image. So there's this guy. He's he's holding a watering hose, and he's watering, like he's hosing down the grass. Okay, and it's weird because you know the watering hose, they have coils, right? And for whatever reason, he doesn't really pull out the entire, like he doesn't unroll the entire coil so that he has more leeway, so that he has more range. He only like pulled out, I would say, what, 2 meters? So his range of distance is very limited. So he's only watering the grass that is immediately around him within that 2 meter radius. So I see him doing the same things over and over and over again, watering just around within that range. And what I'm getting from this image is, once again, broaden your horizons a little bit. The need to kind of not be so, I want to say, tunnel vision, and focusing on the small things rather than seeing the whole picture. And there's definitely a need here to kind of like learn to troubleshoot and problem solve, and especially learn to kind of step out of our comfort zone a little bit. And that's what I'm feeling here. So it's like you're tending to a certain thing over and over and over again. And I feel it's almost like doing it out of that sense of repetition. It's like it's been done in the past, so I'm going to do it again. There needs to be a little bit more risk taking, and as well, getting creative and using the tools at your disposal, and using the tools that are all around you, so that you can creatively problem solve, or you can extend outside of your comfort zone. Okay, so enough about that. What is coming through with this spread here is there are some really, really good energies, but I definitely see you being very stubborn about allowing these new opportunities to come in. So let me talk about your energy and what's coming through for you. You show up here as the King of Cups in the reverse. King of Cups in the reverse. This is somebody who, when in the upright, is very much in control of their emotions, okay? And it's almost like you know when to back off. You know what really irks you. You know what you like, you know what you don't like, and you try to avoid people that aggravate you. When it's in the reverse position, it could be, attention seeking. It could be getting involved in situations that is not good for you. It could be resorting to behaviors that are not healthy. And honestly, as a water sign, when this card comes out, this is what I usually think of, like the Scorpio energy. This can be dealing with a situation where you are not completely confident about your skills, about your capabilities, about your body image, about the way you look, about the way you feel. You feel a little bit out of your element, or you feel a little bit like unsure. Okay, so there's a little bit of a confidence dip that's coming into the picture, especially at the beginning of the week. And what I feel happening here is the way to get out of this situation, and the way to kind of resolve these insecurities, is you have to kind of, whenever I see this card, the funny thing is, you see the claws on that lion? It's almost like he's tiptoeing in. It's like he's sneaky, or he's stealthy. And I feel like the way out of this is to honestly talk about it. Okay? Don't tiptoe and don't beat around the bush. Don't tiptoe around a subject. You really need to kind of like, kick the doors in and just make your presence be known, or make the situation, like, bring it to light. Because whoever you're dealing with, they're very sympathetic, they're very empathetic, and they're going to tell you it's going to be okay. They're going to reassure you. They're going to soothe away all of your insecurities. They're going to soothe the situation. They're going to make it better. So there's no need to kind of like slither in and, wonder about the situation. Just put it all out there and see what happens, because you're dealing with someone who's seen it all. Okay, so this is, I in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, it's an angel with a lion. So this is somebody that can. There's a great degree of trust in this card. Two people really trusting one another. And they know that whatever they reveal, the other person is not going to use that as ammunition, in the next argument, in the next fight. They're not going to use it against you. And you likewise are not going to use their deepest, darkest secrets or their fears or their insecurities against them. So there's a great degree of trust. And a lot of people say Scorpios are very, very secretive. And I feel to a certain extent, everyone is very, very secretive about the things that make them feel insecure. We don't go around revealing what makes us, insecure or what makes us feel less than. It's a sore spot for many of us. But I'm feeling it is especially so for you Scorpios. And as a result of it, I feel almost like you trust somebody enough to reveal all of these things about yourself, and they've never used it against you. And so the advice here is definitely, put it all out there. Get it out in the open. It's like that Band-Aid. Don't rip it off slowly. Rip it off fast and do it once and do it right. And, you never have to worry about it. Okay, so you have somebody in your life that you can definitely trust with all of these problems. So if you're having a little bit of an identity crisis, if you're having a self-confidence dip, you definitely can communicate with them. And I feel like it can work out, and um, they can make the situation a lot better for you. They're presenting you with some information that you might not even have thought about. We have some new work that's coming into the picture. And I also see travel and movement associated with this new job. So what I have here is the Ace of Coins. This is the beginning of something that you can definitely build upon, okay? Many of you have recently started a new job. Many of you as well have recently relocated. Two of Wands. This is movement, travel, change in direction. And I feel like, there were definitely some divine protection here, working behind the scenes in order to facilitate this process for you. So you have some really positive things, but I definitely see like a lot of uncertainty coming through from your end. And I feel like it is your own personal hang up, because the surrounding energies, everything looks really good. Okay. New work, new income generating opportunities, new opportunities for travel. You have somebody that you really trust. And we have the Magician, which is you manifesting, trying to create that abundance in your life, connecting with people, being the life of the party, being sought after, being invited out to, enjoy the festivities. Okay, this is a person that is really in their element. And as the Magician, he embodies the energies of all the elements. So he has mastery over everything. And so I feel like it might be, towards the middle or the end of the week where you're going to start to feel this energy full force, where you're going to be able to overcome the insecurities, where you're going to be able to feel like you're in your element. And we also have as well, what I'm seeing is, it feels to me like there's a relationship here from the past, where one person is investing a lot of their time. It feels to me like it could have been a long distance relationship, because the Two of Wands is a relationship card, but there's only one person in the picture. And there might have been like a long distance relationship. And I feel like it wasn't emotionally fulfilling for many of you. You have found ways to try to rectify the situation. You have, made sacrifices in order to keep this person in your life. The other person as well could have encountered like a new position, a new job. They might have moved away, and then you're making plans to move to where they are. So I feel like the two of you, if you're in a relationship, it has been long distance, or, there's a coming together. Okay, so the two of you are making contingency plans to be in the same location at the same time, and both of you are going to be able to achieve that. So if there's a will for the two of you to work together, to want to make this relationship work, but keep in mind, both people have to be on board. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But I feel like there's a fear here. You know, if I relocate, are you going to relocate? Are we on the same boat? Are we on the same team? Are we working towards the same goals? So I feel like, you know, I jump, you jump. So you have somebody that you love, and they're definitely going to be there for you. And I feel like if you are, for whatever reason, relocating, moving for a new job, it's going to work out really, really well for you. Okay, you have a lot of success that is coming through in the professional front, where you're going to be highly visible. So I feel like it could be a vertical movement, like a promotion, but I feel like there's a lot of public dealings with this job. So having to deal with community members, having to advocate for a certain course of action, having to advocate for a certain program, having to deal with financiers, stakeholders, community members, having to convince people, like you have to really persuade and convince people why they should support what you're doing. Okay, and I don't see this as you going around doing a sales pitch. It's not like that. I feel like you're trying to get the community together, or get a bunch of people together with different agendas to support what you're doing. And so you're reaching to people from very different walks of life, and you're reaching out to people. I'm also feeling like different demographic groups, okay, like riling people up or getting people to invest, or, you know, at least listen to what you're saying. It's not a sales pitch. You're not doing a sales job. This is a lot more complex. Not that sales isn't complex, okay? So I'm not trying to degrade that. But what I feel is this is sort of like working towards a common purpose, working for a bigger end goal that involves everybody, that involves community commitment, that involves buy-in. I see a lot of like you're in the public eye, and I feel like that might be why you're not feeling completely comfortable. You guys are actually quite private as well, so I feel like if these things are heavily advertised, or if you are, you know, getting so much visibility, you feel like your personal life might get dragged to the forefront, and you don't want that. You want to preserve your personal life. You want to keep that personal. Like, you don't want your children to be exposed to this. You don't want your families to be exposed to this. So I definitely feel a lot of trepidation. Like, yes, things are looking really good professionally. Yes, there's a lot of visibility and there's a lot of career success, but you are also afraid of the limelight. I feel like there's definitely trepidation from your end about being too heavily publicized, or being too thrown into the public eye too much. Okay, so there's that element. Let me see. I see a lot of people who are teachers. I'm seeing like standing in front of a lecture hall teaching something, and you're trying to make it fun, and you're trying to make it exciting. And so you're incorporating a lot of anecdotes, a lot of stories from different disciplines into what you're teaching, so that you can engage your entire audience. So I feel like you're very, very thoughtful, and you're very aware that so for example, if you're teaching a class on chemistry, okay, and you're teaching it's a science class, but it's geared towards non-science majors. You're not going to go in depth into, chemistry. You're going to draw things from different disciplines, because you understand that your students don't all have that background. So I feel like you're very aware of how to sell, how to retain your audience's attention. It requires a little bit more work from your end, but you're willing to do it because you want them to learn. So I feel that element about, owning the stage and being very well prepared to be in the public eye. So I'm seeing quite a few teachers. I'm seeing quite a few people having to, do the whole meet and greet, which makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to be very well received. And you're going to be rubbing elbows with a lot of people. So these meet and greets will actually be very enhancing for your professional development as well, okay? So just make sure you accept these invitations and make sure you're able to, just kind of put yourself out there, because it's really helpful for your career. What I do see here is communication and contact coming through from a fire sign. So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. This is a person that is at a point where they're making great strides in their career and their professional life. And you're going to be getting a lot of good news coming through from this person, and a lot of communication, possibly to travel, to partner up, to do some type of a work project. Let me see what else. I feel like, they do have some things in mind that they want to share with you regarding work, regarding career, regarding finances. If this is I feel like it could also be a love interest as well. This is somebody that you want to slow things down with, okay? I feel like you should slow things down with them. So Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. And I feel that you should slow things down. We have here the Queen of Cups in the reverse. They are very like they're heavy with the pursuit. Like they're really going after you. Like they're very much all about the thrill of the chase, and all about the the newness. And when it's in the reverse position, I feel like they can come on a little bit too strong. Just a little bit too strong. So you want to be careful about that. And especially if it's a new relationship, just take it a little bit slower. There's nothing wrong with this person. It's a king, so, they're pretty much in control of their emotions, and they're not as flaky as like a knight or a page, but I definitely feel you want to slow this down so that you get to know them and you get to know how you feel about them before you can decide what you want to do, okay? But they're definitely very interested in you, and there's a lot of communication. I feel like they might be rushing for a relationship, and you might not be ready. So if this is a new person, I feel like it might be a new person, because we have the Judgment card, which indicates like new beginnings. And some of you are just at a point where you're not yet ready to jump into a new relationship. Or some of you are at a point where you're trying to sort out your financial situation. So this relationship might just be a distraction and not yet something that you want to fully invest in. So you might need to tell this person to kind of slow down, okay? Once again, it's sort of like, don't skirt around the issue. You kind of need to put it out there and let the other person know how you feel. Like if you're not ready, you're just not ready. I'm also feeling as well, there's some regrets. There are some issues here. It didn't pan out exactly the way that you planned. And I feel like it's on the emotional front, a relationship, a connection, and there's like lack of communication. So what I have here is the Four of Swords, waiting around for a situation to get better. And with the Four of Swords, the Swords deals with communication. So this is like a resting phase, not getting the communication or not being able to communicate in the manner that you hope. And this person has their heart out, okay? So I feel like you've bared your soul to another person. When it's in the reverse position, you don't really have a choice. You're going to need to move on. And when you move forward, when you kind of wave goodbye and just move on with your life, you have a new person that's really making their intentions known towards you. Okay, this king here, but you still need to slow things down a little bit. So I definitely see, like, whatever hiccups or whatever hang-ups you have, it's going to resolve itself. But I do feel hesitancy and, wanting to Some of you might just want to be single. Some of you might just, enjoy the dating process, and you might not want to get too close to another person just yet. And that's fine. And I feel like if that's the way that it needs to be, you kind of need to explain that to the other person so that they don't fear the worst. Okay? And take whatever time you need to get over this disappointment and this lack of communication, because I feel like the other person is still going to be there waiting for you. Okay? So Scorpios, I hope the reading is helpful for you guys. I apologize for not being able to publish your videos a few days ago for last week. I was really swamped with work, so I apologize. I'll be back next week, okay? So I'll see you guys soon, and I hope